I'm going to ditch my comfortability of being a lawyer in something that I thought would make me happy. Like, you have to bear in mind, I wrote this on my yearbook in year 6. I was 11.
Ultimately, the secret is you need to diversify. You can start off deal sourcing, you can start off Airbnb, you can start off doing HMO, but really to get to those 6-7 figures, you need to diversify.
I made around £37,000 that month.
Profit.
I'm quite different in the sense that I didn't grow up like without having, so I didn't grow up kind of in ends or like broke or whatever. My parents were actually really well off.
Big up Kent.
Yeah, big up Kent, guys. All of them come to Kingdom Rose, all of them come to... Imagine if I now come before God and it's like, oh, why didn't you start that thing? Oh, I was worried about Sally. I was worried about Susan. That 7-figure business that God put on your belly, like, you never did it because you're worried about Sally and Susan, who don't care about you, by the way.
And you made money from the event.
Talk about that.
Guys, 11th of October.
Yeah, make sure you guys are in the room. Listen, the networking opportunities, there's high net worth individuals there.
Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Women Empowered. And today I have a really special guest. She's somebody that I've known for a little while, mostly through my husband, but recently I've got to know her personally. So I'd love to introduce you to Tinu.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So Tinu, for those that don't know who you are, what you're about, who is Tinu?
Oh, I love this question, guys. Listen, I'm gonna come with the vibes and just be who I be. But first and foremost, I'm a child of God because listen, the Bible lets us know, seek first the kingdom of God, and anyone in the comments, you should fill this out, but all else will follow after that. So first and foremost, child of God. Yeah. Second of all, property entrepreneur. So I actually started my journey really young. When I was 19, I started property because listen, like, there can't be other people in this world that are making money and it's not you. And I feel like being young is a good opportunity to actually try, go for it. You don't have any, like, your risks are reduced a lot more. So I actually started in property deal sourcing. And then since then, I now have my own estate agency, which is Kingdom Rose Realty. And yeah, we basically give properties to company lets. And yeah, you guys will find out more about me in the interview.
Okay, wow, lovely. Thanks for that intro. I love that you said that you're a child of God first.
Yeah.
Because God comes first in everything.
Yeah.
So, Tinu, you've caught my eye.
Have I? Guys, I caught my eye.
You have. And the reason why you have is that you've got a real tenacious spirit about you. Yeah. You've got a real go-getter spirit about you, right? And it's just, you're just bubbling over. You're just bubbling over in everything that you do. So I want to know a bit more about your story, where it all started. So tell me first of all about your childhood.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm quite different in the sense that I didn't grow up like without having. So I didn't grow up kind of in ends or like broke or whatever. My parents were actually really well off. So my mum is a doctor, but she specializes in dentistry. And then my dad's a lawyer, and they both have their own businesses. So I was actually raised by nannies, which is actually really fun and vibes. And I was raised in Kent as well. But I think
Big up Kent.
Yeah, big up Kent, guys. We're actually even filming this in Kent. But I think what I saw from them, it was amazing. But they were basically in a business that was almost like a 9-to-5. So they are constantly at work. And even now, like, they're kind of in their 50s, they're still working, grinding, you know, to give us the life that we do have, which is absolutely incredible. But I just thought to myself, okay, cool. With property deal sourcing, so for context for what that is, it's basically where you are finding properties on behalf of investors who've got a lot of money. So they've got a lot of money saved, they're ready to go. But then you have got a lot of time, so you use that time to find them the property. They go to the viewing, all of that. It's like, this is what I like to call smart work. Like, it's not particularly difficult, and it's not overly time consuming, and it pays quite well. So I was getting paid anywhere between 3 to 5K per deal, which is crazy because I started this in my uni room, and I was like, wow. I was very much going to be a lawyer like my dad because, you know, English and all of those things, I can do it. But yeah, when I saw this, I was like, okay, cool, digital age, there's something there. But I would say from childhood, seeing them grind, work for something, they don't work for anyone else. That was inspiring. But I just thought there's a cooler and a new way to do that. And I'm going to crack on with it. Yeah.
So you grew up quite, stable, parents doing very well.
Yeah.
Professional entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So they have professions, like traditional professions, but took the entrepreneur route.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about that. Like, did they have their own practices?
Yeah. So my dad owns his own law firm, and my mum owns her own dental surgery. So they've basically built that as an entrepreneurship thing, but they are actually at work every day. So they will leave to work for themselves, if that makes sense.
I get it.
Yeah.
Interesting. So they pushed academic excellence because they are academically brilliant. but you also had the balance of the entrepreneur side as well.
Yeah.
So you kind of grew up with best of both worlds.
Yeah,
right?
I did.
Okay, so when you went to, what uni did you go to?
I went to Russell Group, so I went to Warwick University. So yeah, that was even tough, guys. That was a tough time.
Okay. And when you were in university, what did you study?
Sociology, but I was going to go on to do my law conversion after.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously now you're a full-time entrepreneur. What made you pivot from, you know, potentially going down the law route and now doing property?
Okay, cool. Guys, listen, this is a story time for all of y'all. So I was very much ready to do law. Like, it was something that was stable, and I guess what my parents told me to do. African families, like, they all want that sense of pride. Like, my daughter's a lawyer, my daughter's a doctor, and I wanted to give that to them. But I was actually really blessed by the pandemic in 2020 because I didn't actually sit my A levels. I got my predicted grades and I did well. I got A star BB. Yeah.
You were part of that lot.
I was part of that lot.
Wow.
I'm literally tiny, guys. I'm 23 years old. But yeah, I did.
So sorry, you didn't have to do your A level exams. Nope. They just gave you grades based on your predicted.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I didn't actually sit those exams. Which actually meant that I didn't get into law. So I applied to Warwick to do law. I got a provisional offer subject to getting AAB, but I got A star BB, which is very similar anyway, but for whatever reason, they just wouldn't let me onto the law and social sciences course. And I wrote them a whole letter. I was just like, guys, listen, I'm gonna work harder than any law student that y'all have ever seen. But they said no.
But you got A star B, but they wanted AAB.
Yeah.
So you got better than what they...
No, I got 1 A star and 2 Bs. They wanted 2 A's and 1 B.
Okay.
Yeah, so very technically in the points I did get it, but for whatever reason they were really strict on that because I think they had limited spaces because of COVID and all of that.
Okay.
So yeah, didn't get it. But that pandemic period, I was actually looking into property. The original plan was to do law and property, which you very much can do. But I was also kidding myself in the sense that I actually don't like reading. Like, I don't like heavy reading. I don't like academia. And I think the one thing I didn't like from my parents' career was that they have to be academic. Like, my dad's a lawyer. He has to constantly be researching and knowing things. And my mum's a doctor, so she needs to be brainy. But I'm more smart working. So I was binge watching YouTube about property, rent to rent specifically. So for those of you guys that don't know what that is, you're renting a property from a landlord and then re-renting it out on Airbnb, booking.com if you do service accommodation. And I wanted to do that, but obviously I was 18 at the time. So I didn't have no cash. I didn't have no cash for any of that. So I then found property deal sourcing, which is basically you're just helping these people get the property. You do a 3K sourcing fee. And then that's it. Like, my only responsibility is finding it.
Yeah.
So I must have kind of brushed it to the side, got into sociology, you know, going on that. But it was just like, I couldn't get out of my head that I've come across an online strategy for me to make money in real estate. And like, just this kind of desire to want to try it. Like, why not you? Do you know what I mean? It's like, there must have been a reason as to why you didn't get onto that law course because you technically got the grades. Like, there should have been a space for you, but there wasn't. So at that point I just knew, okay, well, this is God's hand of redirection and I'm gonna just submit because it's something I knew I wanted to do. So it must have been in my second year of university that I had an honest chat with the Lord, because what this looks like for second year at Warwick is when you kind of started to apply to internships, things like that. And I had to have a sit with the Lord and just be like, I don't think that I want to do the law route. And this is crazy for me because from primary school, like even in my yearbook, I've written in 15 years from now, Tinu's going to be a lawyer. Like this was the plan.
Yeah.
Until God flipped the script.
Wow.
Yeah, which was absolutely incredible. So I was like, okay, cool. Started attending networking events in person, complete beginner, university student as well. These are big, wealthy, rich.
Sorry to interrupt you. So why property before we go on? Why property? Why not like, I don't know, stocks or crypto or like drop shipping? Like there's all this different stuff online that you see, like where you spend money. What made you think, okay, property deal sourcing is the one I'm going to try? That's
such a good question. Okay, so crypto, for me, too risky. Didn't really understand what was going on. Stocks, same scenario. It's very like 1 minute it's going up, the next minute it's not. I felt like property was a little bit more stable and controllable. And I think one thing that I absolutely do love is to have that control. Like I know what's going on. With deal sourcing, I know exactly what my role is. And that is to find the property. I'm using Rightmove, Zoopla, things I'm familiar with. It's not like, okay, 1 minute Zoopla's properties are like 3K and the next is like 1K. It's like, they are quite stable throughout. Okay. Yeah. So that's why I was like property. Okay. Also, it's just cool. Like, guys, you've got not think property is cool. Like, a property is cool. To say I'm Tinu, I was at the time 20 years old, maybe 19, 20. I'm in property. Like, That was cool. At the time, crypto wasn't cool. It was like, oh, you're doing up shady business.
Yeah.
But
it's
property
respected,
was.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's established. Like,
exactly.
Everyone knows property's solid.
Yeah.
Okay. So interesting. So, I mean, did you have any limiting beliefs? Because obviously to go from, Russell Group University, studying what you studied, then to jump into business, was there anything that made you think along the way, like, what am I doing? Like, let me just stick to the plan.
Yeah, massively. And it would have probably been, there's two scenarios, but I'll tell you the first one. I failed my degree. Yeah. Add that into the editors. I failed my degree. I had to resit a few modules until I actually passed, because I was at that point where that grit between business and sticking to the plan was heavy. Like the fact that every single person around me graduated in July of 2023. I will send you a screenshot of this so you can add it to the thing. But people were asking me, Tinu, you're not here at graduation. They didn't even read out my name because I hadn't got the thing. And then at that point, it was just like, whoa, like, did I make the wrong decision?
Yeah.
Because I didn't apply to any of these because I was focusing on property deal sourcing. At that time, I'd made like at least £10,000 in that, which was crazy. But it's like, these guys are getting offered 50k salaries. You've got your family, a year, right? You've got your family, like, why can't you do both? Like, you could do law and your property thing. But for me, I had a deep conviction from the Spirit of God. And it was just like, if you decide to go and do both, you will stick to what is most comfortable, which is the original plan, right? So God didn't allow me to get a job, so much so that I applied for one last minute because it was just like, oh, I might as well. And the interviewer said something to me so prophetic. He looked at me in the eyes and he said, you're going to make so much more in your property business than what you would ever make here. Realistically, if we let you in now, this will be a downgrade for you.
Who said that? The interviewer?
The interviewer. Yeah.
So a potential job
for a potential job in recruitment.
So you told him about what you're doing in property?
Yeah, and that was a mistake. Never tell interviewers that you do that. Never tell interviewers. I thought that he would see that as like a cool extracurricular. Tinu's a go-getter. So it was for like a tech recruitment role, just something random, because it was just like, at this point, law needed more from me, and I didn't get those things. But yeah, he looked me in the eye and he said that you're going to make so much in property. And the reason he said that was because he could tell that I clearly wasn't as passionate about the job role I was applying for. He had other applicants. They were like, I think what he was looking for was someone to say, I'm going to work so hard here. I'm going to get a car and a house. And that's why I'm motivated to be in tech sales. But mine was, I want to use this money to build my empire, my property thing, things like the Lord has shown. In 2023, I had an encounter with God and I saw a vision of like how much money we're going to make together, what impact we're going to have in the kingdom.
You told him that at the interview?
I did. I told him that at the interview, and that must have been God, because he was just like, let her expose herself.
Right.
So that by the time it's like, because it was the type of role that at the end of the interview, they'll give you like a trial day of like, what it's like to be on the phones and all of that. And so they were like, if you don't get that, you ain't got the job. And he was just like, so we're going to cut it there. And I was just like, oh, like, I have to be obedient now, and like I have to go. So property was obedience, because law was comfortability, and that's the situation.
That's really interesting with your interview, because like when you're talking, I feel like in the Bible it says you have to be childlike. Yeah. Right. In order to enter the kingdom of heaven, you have to be childlike, and I feel like you entered that interview with your heart on your sleeve. Yeah. You didn't enter it with an ulterior motive. Yeah. You just were transparent. And I feel like God used that to your benefit, because obviously you said everything. Obviously in interviews people will be like a bit coy, a bit like, I want to work here 24/7, I'll sleep on the floor if I need to. But you were very open, and I think that's really good, because the condition of your heart posture was good, so God was able to intervene in that situation. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's really beautiful in itself. So obedience is what led you to property. Yeah, genuinely it was. And how is deal sourcing? I mean, how many years have you been doing it for now? I started in 2021, just kind of being around, like just hovering. 2022 registered the actual business, and that's when it took off. So I was selling anywhere between 1 to 3 deals a month, every month until exam season, which was April. So
anywhere between £3,000 to £9,000 a month. Some of those are co-sourced. So what that means is like you've got an investor, you've got another deal sourcer who's got the investor, you've got another deal sourcer who's got the actual property. You kind of joint venture, split the fee. You both contributed. So yeah, I was making a fair amount of money for a 20-year-old. I think I remember that stark difference because I think my friend had her joint birthday party with another friend. So this is like a whole long table full of girls. And the meal came up to £500 and I was in a position to literally clear that bill.
Wow.
Which was insane, right? Insane because previously it was a thing of, oh guys, sorry, student finance hasn't come in. You know, let's split it. Do you know what I mean? But I was in a financial position to do so. And start blessing other people in the way that like I'd seen. And I think as you grow in obedience to God in terms of submission and giving, because listen, the Bible lets us know that God gives seed to the sower. So for those of us that are wealthy, like the mandate is to be able to sow into others. Like I actually think it's not good for someone to be too rich and not give, because that's where you get into depression. And what does a man do when they have everything? Like what is it to gain the whole world and lose your soul? So I got into a thing of like giving because I wanted to and because I knew it would make God proud. So there was a stark difference there. So I was making good money. Deal sourcing is amazing.
Money. So I mean, there's a few things there that I want to unpack, right? Obviously your mention of God is very consistent in your story. But I want to touch on deal sourcing first a little bit. So in terms of deal sourcing, right, in layman terms, what is it? For someone that doesn't know, what is it?
Okay, cool. Deal sourcing is basically, you're almost like a personal shopper to people who are in property. So let's just say you've got a client called James. James has like an Airbnb business in, let's just say, Manchester. So you're basically calling agents and landlords on behalf of James, and you're kind of convincing them as to why they want to give their empty property to James and like his company. A few of the main factors is obviously because he's going to be doing it for Airbnb. He's going to, you know, make sure it looks really nice. He's going to have cleaners, all of those, which is something that a normal tenant can't provide. So you're basically doing that admin for them, booking viewings, all of that. And then if James turns around and he likes it and he takes that property, you get paid a fee of roughly £3,000, which is insane for literally such a small amount of work.
But is it a small amount of work? That's the thing as well. It's, you know, there's a lot of balancing, isn't it, in deal sourcing? You've got to keep one side happy and the other side, and it takes a lot of emotional intelligence, right? So, you know, in terms of what you're now a bit more experienced. So for you, it's like, you know, just matchmaking. But I'm sure when you started, was it more difficult than it is now, or have you always found it quite easy?
When I started, it was probably at an easier stage because we had just come out of the pandemic. So everyone was ready to take on properties, wanting to recoup the money that they must have lost in the pandemic. So it was a lot easier to find clients. So my first one came from Facebook, a group chat, and that still does work. But it must have been a studio in Coventry. He was just like, yep, went to the viewing, I'll take it. What do I need to sign? It was as easy as that. But that's not to say that there weren't barriers to entry upon that. Like it took me a while before I found someone who was serious, because you do get time wasters. That's the honest truth. You get people like, yeah, I want to take it, and then you call the landlord, and my business partner, he's interested, and then they go silent. That happened to me not too long ago. Like the client's just gone silent. It's like you've just spent so much time building that relationship with the landlord, you've let them down. They're going to see it as you've let them down. So that's the trouble with being in a middleman business. Like you're in between both parties. If one lets you down, inevitably, like it's like a domino effect, which sucks sometimes. But
absolutely. And what's been like a really good, like if we were to talk figures, like what's been like a really good month for you, like in your time that you've been doing deal sourcing?
Or there was a deal that I sold. We did a sourcing fee of £8,000, which was crazy, which was actually discounted because he took on 4 units, 4 HMOs in Coventry. They came fully furnished. Fully furnished. So the actual landlord of that was like a developer. So he had like basically staged it for like photos anyway. But we came in with such an amazing offer, which was, listen, my client's going to take all of your developments. He'll take it with all of the furniture. You don't have to do anything else. Instead of renting it to individual tenants yourself, he's going to do all of that, taking it. So he paid the 8K sick. And then after that, he took on another deal in Luton as well, which is near where he's from. So that was
so one deal 8K. And how much time did you put into that?
Minimal, because I did all of those 4 because he wanted all 4 anyway. So it probably took a week in terms of viewings, and then after that there was a slight delayed completion because he was still furnishing one of the other ones.
Yeah. So like a couple of weeks.
Couple of
weeks, 8K. It's not
bad, is it? Not bad. It wasn't a bad deal at all. It wasn't bad.
No. Do you know what? When we first started off in property, that was our first bread and butter.
Yeah.
That was our first thing. So I love deal sourcing.
Yeah.
So in terms of deal sourcing and how you've progressed in it so quickly, is it something that, you're going to now scale that, potentially get staff?
Yeah.
Or is it something you're looking at, okay, now I'm looking at the next level of property, potentially getting into, having something myself? Or what's the next steps for Kingdom Rose?
Okay, so I love this question as well. So I actually started my own estate agency off the back of deal sourcing. So what I noticed that when I was calling landlords and agents, a lot of the agents were like, no, we don't really do, giving it over to rent companies. We don't do any of that. And I noticed, oh my goodness, this is a gap in the market. And I just had like a little light bulb moment. I was like, I'm going to start my own estate agency. And if I put effort into deal sourcing, the effort I put into the estate agency was like, listen, all guns blazing. And so God gave me that idea, and I was just like, listen, the Bible says write the vision and make it plain, but it also says run with it. And that's the part that a lot of people forget. Like they just write it down, vision, goals, Pinterest and all of that, but they
pray and there's no action.
And faith without works is dead, right? So I'm one of those people, when God gives me an idea, if anything, I'm like, cool, this is how we're going to execute it tomorrow. So what we do now, and if there's any landlords watching, drop us a message at the end. But we offer free property management to landlords. So we don't charge an upfront kind of fee to manage or anything. We do it all completely free of charge. And then what we do, we will rent the properties to guaranteed rent companies. So for them on their end, inevitably they're going to get guaranteed rent, if that makes sense. So this is what's called a back-to-back lease. So I just sit in the middle between the two contracts. So I've got a management agreement with the landlord to say that I'm managing this property for them for free, which is a catch because a lot of estate agents will do it for about 10%, and every month they'll take that from the rent. But I take absolutely zero from them. Whatever rent they want, as long as it's reasonable, we'll give them that. And then we will advertise to guaranteed rent companies. So if a landlord wants like 1K for a 3-bedroom house in Manchester, we would advertise that house at maybe 1.3, 1.2, and we will simply collect like that 200, 300 in the difference. So I've basically made myself a salary, if that makes sense, because I think deal sourcing is amazing, but there's some months you're doing like 10K and there's other months you're doing 2 or 3. So I liked that stability and control. So we're making around in turnover, because I can't tell you all the profits yet because you ain't my accountant, but around 25K a month in gross rental coming in now. And I started that last year. So
what ignited that pivot?
To pivot, I wanted to get something more stable. So whilst the deal sourcing is amazing and still is, it's like that's that injection of the cash flow. So okay, cool, sold a deal 3K. But I also wanted to know, okay, cool, every month I'm making a certain figure that if I wanted to move out or travel to Dubai, like I know is coming in. And it's the best thing ever because a lot of estate agents say no. So my slogan is we say yes to company lets, and like we just get flooded with, hey Tinu, like I saw you on TikTok. We do company let. I gave one of our houses to these people who have put like their journey on TikTok. So for those of you guys that are thinking about posting, definitely do. As an estate agent, I literally go through TikTok and I see you guys because I can see the quality of your work. Then I can see how you've put the effort into it, and it's like, okay, cool, if you can look after that, I feel like I can trust you with this house that this landlord has given me, and I'll rent it out to you. So we just did one in Oldham, which is Greater Manchester, so contractor area, all of that. They've just done it up. It's amazing, like the interior that they've done. Great. And like other than that, they're quite young, so nobody else would have given them the opportunity. Do you know what I mean? Something else we look for, have you been mentored? Mentorship is crazy. I've spent £25,000 on mentorship.
Come on.
Between today and 2024, right? And this is being filmed in 2025. So I look for that. Have you invested in yourself? Not just because, like scammy mentors, but it's like, if you're going to be a doctor, how can we trust you if you've never been trained, you've never gone to school for that? Do you know what I mean? These are schools for property, and they tick that box. And so I was like, great, and they're doing really well. They've got a direct booking as well, which is
amazing. So in terms of your criteria of who you take on your books, I would say as a client for rent to renters, they don't have to have a massive history in property, but they have to have shown like some investment into themselves. Mentorship, and they're actively in the game.
I have to see it, because if you've not been trained, what's going to happen, not even just on like a basis where it's like you don't know, like, you know, you don't know what you're actually doing. You're going to ask me questions 24/7. I'm going to get those, hey Tinu, like, how do I find a cleaner? Hey Tinu, like, a guest is messaging me. It's like I almost become a manager, slightly unpaid, and I just, especially if I'm only making a margin of 200 to 300. But I just, it's just headache. Especially so many cowboys, and then I don't like disappointing people. So like, if I've given it to someone and I know that they don't know what they're doing, we get that property back and it looks a shambles. Obviously, that's gonna look awful on me,
your
and
reputation.
I don't want that.
No, that's good. And I think it's really important to diversify, right? Because it's like when people ask us about our journey and so many questions, so many like so much praise, but ultimately the secret is you need to diversify. You can start off deal sourcing, you can start off Airbnb, you can start off doing HMO, but really to get to those 6-7 figures, you need to diversify. You need to have about 6 strategies you can whip out your toolbox within property. Like having one is great. You can have one and master it and be specialism in it. Like for example, my husband, everybody knows him as the Airbnb guy, right? He's amazing at it. He's, you know, that's his thing. But he has 5, 6, 7 other strategies in his toolbox, right? That maybe most people aren't aware of, if that makes sense. So in order to get to those higher earners in property, you definitely need to start looking at multiple strategies, you know, different streams coming in. And it's funny because I call certain ones bread and butter, and then you get the high ticket ones. Right? You need a good combination. So it's good that, you know, 3 years in, you're diversifying, and that's only you're gonna get the compound interest of that. Before you know it, you are gonna hit the annual 7 figures. Before you know it, you know, it's not far off. So talk to me about your journey with God, because, you know, it's something where you're very young, and, you know, you consistently mention God. Like, when did you become a Christian? When did you become saved?
Oh, fantastic question. It would have probably been the pandemic itself. I feel like we were all kind of thrown into an area where we didn't really know what was happening. Like there was a lot going on around us, but also because we were forced to be at home, there was that silence. Like there was that time to really reflect and kind of think about who you really are. And I know that some people went into like, you know, just self-exploration, but I was just like, why not find Jesus? Do you know what I mean? So I started praying more, reading my word more. It wasn't a dramatic, like, okay, one day, like Paul to Saul or Saul to Paul, like, you know, transformed, because I was a good girl aside from that. I wasn't really into drinking or any of that. Even when I turned 18, it just wasn't me. I think alcohol tastes whack, personally. I think it tastes
it does.
It doesn't actually taste very nice.
I never got into it, to be fair. I would drink it because you just do, but it doesn't actually taste nice.
Do you get it? It doesn't actually taste great. But just started to be more consistent with God, praying more and just seeking Him, because it's like you don't know what's happening around you, and it's like, okay, cool, like if I can put my trust in the one who's made the universe, like He's created the stars, heavens, and me, I definitely can seek Him for direction. Do you know what I mean?
So when you talk about like God said this, God said this, God said that, there's a lot of God said, right? So the thing is like, I know what you mean. But, you know, to the person out there watching, that's like, how did God say it? Like, you know, is it like, you know, your dream, Tinu, don't do this, you know? How would you interact? Because God speaks to everyone in different ways, right? But you need to know how He's speaking to you. So in your experience, how do you experience God?
Oh, so amazing. It's lots of different ways. So it might be I'm reading the word about a specific topic and it's like, oh my gosh, this really resonates to me. And that's more on like the conviction stuff. So for example, the Bible lets us know, let me think of something good that the Bible lets us know that we can't be doing. Gossiping. So that's something the Bible says. And as girls, like it's just common, like you just meet up as, oh, like, have you seen what Stacey's doing? Have you seen what Becca's doing? It's like you just start to feel uncomfortable around those conversations. So I'll read that in the word. It's like God, the first, if you want to know what God sounds like, the first place is His word, which is the Bible. And then for things like my property journey, it looks like life circumstances. So God was speaking through the circumstances of like, you've done everything that you can do to get into this course. You've even written them a letter. You know, your teachers would have written you a recommendation, but that door was closed. So God's voice was in a closed door. And then also like an inward desire that I wanted to do something else, but I was just a little bit like, oh, I don't know, like it's so different from what I'd planned. But it required an act of faith to believe that God will like support me on this. Because I was not only was I a uni student, I'm also female and I'm also black. And so I had all of those disadvantages. But that's one thing about me, I don't look at those disadvantages, because if God has sent me, like God is coming with me on this journey. And like my favorite scripture is Psalm 5:12, which is that the favor of God surrounds the righteous as a shield. So if I believe that God's favor has surrounded me, why should I walk into rooms thinking, because I'm black, I'm disadvantaged, because I'm female, I'm disadvantaged, and just walk there with like a negative mindset already? Like, I have the mind of Christ.
Yes.
Like, I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. There's certain acts of favor that there was a property that I wanted to source to my client, but the landlord had another offer from someone else who wanted it for longer, for 5 years. My client only wanted 3 years. He should have probably gone for the other offer, which is 5 years. It's longer. He's getting guaranteed rent. But he said, actually, after 3 years, we want to sell. So we would go with Tinu's offer because they only want it for 3 years, which works for us. Like, favor. Favor is so serious. The favor of God. So he speaks through that. He also speaks through, I said closed doors, but also open doors. Like for the estate agency, I'll pray literally in the night, because I treat Kingdom Roads like a ministry. Like the way that we pray over certain things, I pray over Kingdom Roads. I'm serious about it. I fast over Kingdom Roads because this business is bigger than me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's bigger than me. So I'm gonna need to submit to God and ask God for help. But I must have been praying like for more landlords to just, find me, locate me, like give me their properties. And then I must have woken up to a text message, hey Tinu, my property's just become available. I was wondering if you can manage it. Or hey Tinu, I have a friend, they've got a property in an area that I said that I wanted, which is usually Manchester, because that's a bit easier for me. And it's like, just let me know, can I set up a call? And it's just done.
Wow.
And there was another property as well. And like the landlord had originally said, I've got someone, they're going to be moving forward. They pull out last minute and he gives it to me. And then I managed to find someone within 3 days.
Wow.
Like nobody can tell me that God isn't real.
God. Yeah.
Nobody can tell me.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And you're putting God inside your business, you know that, and that's the key to success. You have to do that. Me and my husband are exactly the same. Like we're very spiritual people, probably more than what people expect as well, especially with my husband. Like we consult God with everything, the smallest of things. If you're interacting with somebody, I've probably had a dream about you before. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like business and God, like they're literally hand in hand. So I don't, and entrepreneurship is a lot of faith. You don't know how much money you're making next month.
Talk about that.
You don't know. So it's like, how can you do that without any faith? Like we could have closed our business probably 10 times over.
Do you know what I mean? No, that's so honest.
Come on,
I feel like giving up sometimes. I do feel like giving up sometimes. It's because from someone who was going to go down the law route and know exactly how much my salary is, how much I pay for tax, like that would have been great. And I also get the clout of, oh my gosh, like you're a lawyer. She's successful. But then with business, every single month is an act of faith. I'll tell you one thing. May 2025, I went to Dubai. So I go to Dubai like every quarter for a little bit. I prayed about it and I felt like God was like cool with that decision. Like he was into it. He was ready for me to come to Dubai, right? I actually came for your event and then I ended up extending for a few weeks, right? I had no idea how much money I was going to make that month. I didn't know. I'm not in my hometown. Like I'm not doing my usual things. I'm posting a lot on Instagram. And I made around £37,000 that month.
Profit.
Not all profit. What
was it from?
It was a combination of deal sourcing, my estate agency, and I've got a training business as well.
Cool.
Where I teach other people how to get into property. Which is crazy. Look
at that.
And that would have been the entry level salary for the law job I wanted to apply to that I made in a month.
1 month.
Turnover, but profit soon. Amen. And
also while you were in Dubai.
Whilst I was in Dubai.
Coming to an event. Just chilling. You weren't physically running up and down the country.
I met 2 women at your event who were like, oh, I think I met you on social media. Like after the event, they're like, oh, I saw your socials. Like, can you tell me more about property? And they decided to actually, hop onto the program and they've set up their business now.
Amazing.
They're speaking to landlords now.
Look at that.
Interacting. All because I said to God, yes. Like, okay, cool.
That's it.
I'm going to ditch my comfortability of being a lawyer in something that I thought would make me happy. Like you have to bear in mind, I wrote this on my yearbook in year 6. I was 11. This is what I want to do from 11 years old. Then I meet God in 2020 and he literally closes that door.
Wow.
Like, that door was literally closed. Like you're not getting into more.
You tried to bang that door open, but God was like, no, this is not for you.
Wow. And it was insane. Like everyone around me was like, just try law. Come on, like if it doesn't have to be Warwick, you can just go to a different university. You can apply. You can try again. Like why not call Leicester? Why not call like De Montfort? But it was like no, like I've never been sure of anything in my life, but for whatever reason, I feel like I'm gonna go to Warwick. At the time, I didn't know I was going to change to not do my law conversion, but it was the second year. It was just like, I can't.
You can't. You just knew. You can't. Wow. And you made money from the event. So guys, 11th of October, make sure
make sure you guys are in the room. Listen, the networking opportunities, there's high net worth individuals there, like, and they're just normal people just like you and I. So do you know what I mean? Just big yourself up and go from there.
Exactly. Oh, amazing. So I guess the future's bright for Kingdom Rose.
Yeah.
The future's bright for Tinu. I mean, touch a little bit about your mentorship as well, because I don't think you've spoken much about that. So what sort of person do you help, and what do you cover if somebody's looking and maybe want to get involved in mentorship?
Okay, for sure. So we currently teach property deal sourcing. So that's that method where you're speaking to landlords and agents on behalf of your client, things like that, and you get paid your 3K. But I've also added a new module, which is how you can get into Airbnb for free using property deal sourcing, and 2 of my students have actually done that, and they've got their first booking on their unit. So my student got a 4-bedroom house completely free of charge. In fact, I believe it's even a 5-bedroom. She put no money down.
Wow.
What she's done, instead of taking the traditional 3K sourcing fee, she was like, actually, I'd rather partner up. And so they were like, okay, cool, I don't have to pay the 3K. This lady lives, I believe, somewhere near Wales anyway, which is quite far. So she didn't know kind of what to do. She was just a working professional. I believe that she was not sure what she does, but like a nice kind of office job that she does. She's got money saved, wants to get into property, but she doesn't have the time to run it. So but what my students basically done is, okay, we'll do all of that. Guest communication, everything. They went there, they did the whole interior design, and they just split the profits 50-50. They might do that for the first year, and then after that, they'll just do like a 20% management, 15% management, but they're still making money in property that they've not put any money into. And that's residual income. So every month when it makes profit, they're taking home half of it for at least a year.
Amazing. Wow, that's really amazing. I actually remember the first, when you said something, it triggered a memory actually. Your mum's property in Camberwell. So that's where we first when we first had the interaction. Your parents' property in Camberwell. And it was my husband that said, oh, there's a girl called Tinu. They've got a property in Camberwell. And to be honest, our patch is Kent. We're like all over Kent. And we take properties in London sparingly. And then when he said about your mum's property and the location, I was like, okay. And then that's where so obviously we took your mum's property and we still got it till date. And that's where it kind of started. And I remember that's where I think the relationship between you and my husband kind of started, right? So that is interesting because your parents' portfolio as well, I'm assuming that they've given you free reign to kind of manage that.
All of them come to Kingdom Rose. And I do it for free. Like, guys, landlords, if you're listening to this, I will manage a house for free. Even things like inspections, we do them 3 times a year. That's also covered for free. And if it's Airbnb that we go for, you get a free mini refurb. Like, it's insane. I've just finished one with a landlord in Birmingham. It was just a normal house. Like, they used to live there, they moved out, got a buy-to-let consent mortgage thing, and they actually moved down the road for whatever reason. And then I got a guaranteed rent Airbnb company in there. Like, they refurbished everything. They put like wallpaper on. It looks stunning. And I sent them the picture and they were like, wait, is this my house? And it's just like that moment. And then they sent me a video testimonial of like, Tinu, we love Tinu because she did this for free and she's of Christian faith as well. Like, I was just like, this is what I'm made for. And it's like, cool, a few years later, do you know what I mean? I'm walking in what God wants me to do. And this doesn't mean that it doesn't come with challenges, because I say this, but then I don't talk about what the anxiety is like every month of like, okay, cool, I don't know if I'm meant to still be doing this. Is God still with me? Like, sometimes I get anxious that God is like not in this anymore. But it's like, I think a good sign of God being in something is the constant provision. Like, there's still resources here. It's not a dry and empty land.
That is a good one. That's a good one. That's a gem. The sign of God being in something is the constant provision. 100%.
Even to this day, like, it's a bank holiday, I've got landlords like, hey, I know someone is like, if they are sharing about what it is that you're doing, like, do you know what I mean? It's not a thing you're kind of like doing this in your own strength. Like, there's wings on the back of my shoulders, and it's the wings of the Holy Ghost.
I can see it 100. Anyone can see it. So what advice would you give to somebody, your young 23-year-old girl, living life on your own terms, earning income, 5 figures, roughly a month.
Every month.
Every month, yeah. So what advice would you give to your young 18-year-old watching this, thinking, do you know what, I want to get into property. Maybe they don't want to get into property. Maybe not property, but maybe they've got that, I always say that feeling in your belly of like, I want to do something more. What advice would you give to them?
I would say there's no reason as to why not you. You can spend millions of hours on TikTok, Instagram, all of those things, just wasting your life away. If you've got time to do that, you've got time to start a business. Trust me. Like, if property deal sourcing, it's not overly time consuming, and it fits within your schedule. Even if it's not property, some of my friends have their own hair business, nail business. Like, there is no reason as to why you can't be successful. But I also want to speak to the person who has imposter syndrome and the person who has people in their circle who are being negative. Let me speak to this scenario, because that's happened to me before. I had to sit there and I was just like, okay, cool. Sally from year 8, I'm worried that she's going to see my post and she's going to make fun of me and she's going to talk about me, and or even like friends, they're going to giggle at me. Cool. But then imagine if I now come before God and it's like, oh, why didn't you start that thing? Oh, I was worried about Sally. I was worried about Susan. That 7-figure business that God put on your belly, you never did it because you're worried about Sally and Susan, who don't care about you, by the way. Like, they'll have that conversation once, twice, might bring it up, laugh, cool. But okay, cool, because they're laughing at me, I'm not going to be successful. That way, you are literally, the Bible talks about having the fear of man. Like, you are literally in a prison of like the opinion of man. That's scary. Like, that, not even like, oh, like, because, the Lord says that is scary, that you never reach your full potential because you were worried about what she or he said, when realistically they're going to move on anyway. So when I think like that, there is no reason as to why I can't be successful. Like, why not Tinu Sijuade from Kent? Like, why not her? Do you know what I mean? Like, I took a business which I had £3.11 when I first started. I transferred it from my SFE, and I was just like, oh wow, like the business, because when you have a business account, like, they want to at least see a little bit of movement. Like, oh, there's £3 in there. to now having times where there's multiple 5 figures like liquid. Let me not get robbed, but multiple 5 figures like in the account. I open it, it's like, oh cool, there's above 20,000 here, and it's like, that's insane. And I'm someone who just started this because, oh well, you know what I mean? Like, if you're ever wondering about if you can or can't do it, look at my example. Black, female, young, and relatively well spoken, but clearly not British. Do you know what I mean? And I'm doing it with God. Get back in as well from a spirit. Get back in from God specifically. Just gonna say that as well. But why not you? Seriously, why not?
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, I think that's a really good place to end.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. If anyone wants to find you, Tinu, where should they find you?
Okay, so for Instagram, it's kingdom.rose_development. And then if it's a property inquiry, either you want to rent a property from us or you're a landlord with a property, it is for email info@kingdom-rose.org.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
guys. See you on the next episode.
Bye.